Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Financial News. I'm Ron Jankowski with Channel 4 in Palos Heights, and my co-host is Paul Munico from Ameriprise Financial. We're going to give you an update from Paul. Before we go into that, today is May 2nd, 2022. We want to identify the date, Paul, and give us an update as to what took place, if you can. And when you're finished, I will talk about what Ameriprise is saying for this morning.
Great. Thanks, Ron. I'm going to continue talking about Q1 earnings and the release season and how it's continuing this week with 160 of the S&P 500 companies on the docket. That's a lot. Now, through last week, 276, or about 55% of the index had released their results. Of those having reported, 80% announced better than expected earnings per share, while 72% reported better than expected revenues. Now, you wouldn't know it from April's stock performance, but both figures, they're well ahead of historical averages. Over the last 5 years, an average of 77% of companies reported better than expected earnings per share, while 72% reported better than expected earnings per share over the last 10 years, all on average. Now, revenue outperformance, meanwhile, has averaged 69% over the last 5 years and 61% over the last 10. Now, we've got blended consensus estimates, and that's actuals plus estimates. Now, for the S&P 500 companies, they look to generate year-over-year earnings per share growth of about 7.1%, on sales growth of about 12.4%. And that number is up from 11% last week. Just as recently as April 4th, consensus estimates were looking for year-over-year earnings per share growth of 5%. Additionally, according to FactSet, S&P 500 earnings per share growth is plus 10%, with Amazon alone is excluded from this calculation. So it's unusual to see sales growth so much stronger than the earnings per share expansion. This is largely reflective of higher input costs and higher loan loss reserves in the financial sector. So, again, like the market struggled last week, especially on Friday, but at least earnings for the most part are coming in strong, and we'll just have to continue to monitor this. It might be holding the market up, but things could potentially be a lot worse if earnings weren't this strong.
Right. And Paul, I'm going to report what the Ameriprise gave us this morning, and if you have any comments on these comments they afforded us. The U.S. stock index futures are mostly lower following Friday's sell-off that had the S&P 500 down 3%.
It's almost, after a big down day like we saw on Friday, sometimes on Monday you try to catch your breath and reevaluate. So it's nothing dramatic in the opening or in the futures, but we'll see how the day trades.
And the markets in Asia closed modestly lower, and European markets are down about 1.5% at midday at their location.
So modestly lower is kind of what I was alluding to.
Yeah.
We want to catch our breath and reevaluate after a pretty big down day on Friday.
The Treasury yields are moving higher with the 10-year back near the headline level of 3%, and the 2-year is up 2.7%.
That seems right, given what's going on in the equity market.
Yeah. The U.S. dollar is stabilizing this morning after a 5% upward move last week, and gold is up about 2%. WTI crude is 3% lower. Good.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that happen for our gas pump prices. And Bitcoin futures are flat. Big
There
deal.
you go. Yeah.
Okay, the year-to-date market percent returns are as follows. The S&P 500 is a minus 12%, Dow Jones a minus 8%, and NASDAQ a minus 21%.
It's a lot worse than what you reported last week.
Yeah,
just
it
points
is.
out how bad. I mean, last week was a rough week for the market, and it's reflected by those numbers.
All right, thank you, Paul, for the update. Stay with us. Paul is going to be giving us a topic on our program called Your Money. We will be right back. Stay with us. And thank you for staying with us. We're our program called Your Money. Paul usually has a great topic to talk, and today is answers to some of your most fundamental retirement questions, and I'm going to let Paul take it from there.
Thanks, Ron. Most hardworking Americans dream about retirement, but the path to get there can be less than clear. So for those relatively new to the workforce, the idea of retiring may feel distant and abstract. And they're not the only ones with questions. Even people who are only a few years away from retirement are often perplexed by the decisions they face. Now, while everyone's journey is different, I know from my experience as a financial advisor that there are some common themes when it comes to questions about retirement. So, for example, those who just started their careers and have decades before retirement, they sometimes wonder, with all my current financial priorities, why should I worry about saving money for retirement? And the answer is the sooner you start saving for retirement, the greater the opportunity for your money to grow. If you are in your 20s or 30s, you may not have as many assets as those who have been in the workforce for decades. What you do have is time, and that can be a powerful ally. Time allows you to take full advantage of the opportunity to compound growth in your investments. Even modest investment accounts that have years to potentially grow can make a significant difference in your retirement savings. A lot of times I get asked, how much of my paycheck should I save for retirement? A reasonable goal, and the answer is different for everyone, but a reasonable goal is to save or try to save 10% of your pre-tax income in retirement savings vehicles. If you have the option, you might want to strongly consider directing a portion from your paycheck directly to a 401k or another workplace savings plan. If your employer offers a matching contribution, that's even better for you. That's essentially free money that you don't want to miss out on. And if you have additional discretionary income beyond that, you may want to save it in a Roth IRA, if you're eligible to, which could help you build retirement savings with after-tax dollars and create potentially tax-free income in the future. Now, on the other hand, if retirement is in your near future, you may be pondering these type of questions. Should I pay off my home mortgage early? That's one I get a lot. And paying off your mortgage may seem like a great idea, and if you're like a lot of near retirees, the prospect of eliminating debt and reducing your monthly expenses may be appealing. That being said, there are a variety of factors to consider. One of the biggest is the cost and potential tax consequences of moving a large sum of money out of an existing investment in order to pay off the balance of your mortgage. If the interest rate you pay on your mortgage is low, you might want to keep that money invested and continue making mortgage payments. Also, holding a mortgage is key to many Americans' tax strategies because the interest paid could potentially be tax deductible. If mortgage interest is part of your tax strategy, always consult with your tax professional before making the decision to own your home outright and weigh the costs and benefits to those decisions with that tax advisor. The biggest question I typically get for those nearing retirement or in it is, how will I know if I've saved enough money to last my lifetime? The answer to this question is very complicated, and it depends on your retirement dreams and current financial situation. The variables that come into play include, the amount of money you'll need to pay to cover your expenses each year, and other sources of income you have, such as pensions or Social Security. The biggest unknown, of course, is how long your retirement is going to last. But most people should be prepared to spend several decades in retirement. In that case, a financial plan can help you test different assumptions based on appropriate retirement date. Another question I see is, will Medicare cover my health costs in retirement? Although I am not a healthcare specialist, I can tell you that healthcare is one of the largest expenses most people, retirees, occur in their later years. And Medicare only covers a portion of healthcare expenses. It is broken up into different parts. There's Part A, and it's offered at no cost. But mainly, it only covers expenses related to hospitalization. There's Part B, which does require monthly premiums, but does make medical services such as care from a doctor or tests more affordable. Then there's something you should look into called Part C. It's an alternative type of Medicare coverage provided through private insurers, but it comes at a cost. Then there's Part D, which is a prescription program that helps reduce the price of drugs. Medicare supplement coverage is another form of coverage that charges a premium, but it can help reduce out-of-pocket medical expenses. There's a lot there, and need to speak with Medicare insurance experts to get more information on that. This one's pretty prominent. At what age should I begin to collect Social Security? And obviously this is going to vary by the person. The earliest you can qualify to begin collecting Social Security required retirement benefits for most people is age 62, while the longer you wait, the larger your benefit could potentially be. The highest monthly benefit you can earn occurs when you reach around age 70 for most people. If you continue to work, it may make sense to delay taking Social Security. And when you retire, you'll need to weigh the value of delaying Social Security against the cost of taking money out of your personal savings to make up the difference. In conclusion, whether retirement is a year or decades away, it's important to craft a plan for how long you will build your nest egg and fund your retirement dreams. And as always, if you have questions or want to discuss your personal situation, always consult your financial advisor, your estate planner, and of course your tax professional for further guidance. And as I always say, if you're not working with an advisor or if you just want a second opinion, feel free to give me a call directly, and you can reach me at 708-226-3412.
Boy, that was a lot of ground you covered. And, I was listening intently to everything you mentioned, and I do remember the days of having some reserve funds in the bank and looking at the mortgage tax advantage by having a mortgage, that is. You really need a financial advisor to kind of weigh everything out for yourself. And it depends on how much money you have and where it's invested, if it is invested at all, what that return is, and compare that to your mortgage tax.
You're right, and it's the honest truth that there's no flat answers to any of these questions. Everything is client and customer specific because there are so many variables.
Yeah.
A lot of times those mortgages, towards the end of the mortgage, the interest payments are much lower. It's more principal that gets deducted, and there's less interest.
And that changes the plan.
Every year, it changes your plan. Things adjust. What are money market rates? What are CD rates? How's the stock market returning?
Right.
What should you do? There's no one blanket answer for everyone. You really got to sit down with someone, or do it yourself. But you got to figure out specifically for you what might work for you. Might be the exact wrong thing for someone else. So you gotta weigh all those options.
Well, you sure said it, Paul. Thank you for bringing that topic up. Well, for Paul Munichel with Ameriprise Financial and myself, Ron Jankowski with Channel 4 and Palos Heights, we wish you good investment day.